Very patient defense to get killed. Stomp the yard into the full screen confirm.
Oh, yeah, there's a bug. There's a bug there.
I was like, was it? It looks like one of those double damage bugs.
Yeah.
What just happened?
So when you're it costs your sparking, but you cancel. You like an empty cancel with your vanish.
Exactly. You need to be right on top of it, and the natural ones, you can do that plink to get it.
Yeah.
Oh, the read!
He caught him finally with it.
He's gonna answer with impunity. Lord Knight's gonna take the.
He didn't take it. Okay, there it goes. Okay.
Lord Knight's gonna take this thing.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Born Free here, and I'm at next level with my man, Lord Knight. How the hell are you?
What's up? Hello. How are you?
You know, he's done a lot of interviews before.
Yeah.
he's very excited. All right, so let's start off with. Well, we're going to talk about Dragon Ball because Summit of Power is coming, and you're up there actually at the moment.
Right now.
Yeah.
For now. Yeah.
Until Echo Fox comes in and spends all that money. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. Yeah, we saw. I think Cloud got a little boost today.
Yeah. So like, the first elimination just happened, and SQ Persona player, Rogue Yoshi, Nappa, Timo from Canada, and I feel like I'm forgetting a really obvious one, but they're all gone. 4 people are gone right now. So on Friday, 4 more people will be gone, and then next week they'll start actually bringing people to the tournament.
Wow. Yeah, it's harsh out in these streets. Yeah, I feel for my boy Timo though, because I was hoping that he would sort of. Well, there's so many people that I'd actually like to see. That's the difficult thing. Is like you look at that list and there's a lot of people I'd like to see in there. But right now we're talking to you, and what the fuck? I guess the first thing I wanted to ask you is Lord Knight. That's quite a name. Did you give that to yourself? Like, where did that come from?
Yeah, I gave that name to myself. That's the handle I chose.
So you were like, I am the Lord. I'm a knight. Like, tell me, where does that come from?
Okay, it's kind of a long story. It's not that long.
Long stories are fine. My interviews they're not exactly 2 minutes, so.
True. So when I was a kid, when I was like in high school, really early in high school, I played Fire Emblem on Game Boy Advance, and that game blew my mind. I was like, I love this game. And there's a character in that game named Lin. That's my favorite character in the game. Is Lin. So when I signed up for like the Fire Emblem websites and stuff, forums and all that, I signed up as Blade Lord Lin, my favorite character. Except she is a girl.
Oh, okay.
So obviously a lot of problems happened because of that name, and they like people. My online friends would call me something else, like BLL or whatever. So later on, I played another Fire Emblem game. This is my favorite game in my whole life. Still, it's for the Super Nintendo. It's a Fire Emblem game, and the main character, his name is Sigurd. He's super cool. That guy, like, he's super cool. And when I signed up for Smashboards, I wanted to be Sigurd. I was like, Sigurd, that's my man. It's my man. But some dude from the Netherlands already had the username, so I was like, I guess I'll just go with Lord Knight because that's his class, and that's how I got the name.
Wait, so you were very, very close to being Sigurd?
Yeah, I could. You could be like, we're gonna have an interview with a black dude named Sigurd. That could have legitimately.
That's how I would have framed it. I would have said, "Here's a black dude named Sigurd." Yeah. That's what I would have said. All right, so Lord Knight, that's where it comes from. Okay, but you originally a Smash player, so that's where we were gonna go next. Is history of fighting games. So, where did it all start out? Did it start with Smash? Was that the first fighting game you played?
Sorta. First of all, if you call it a fighting game, whoa. But the truth, I mean, I'm like most people. Like, I played fighting games when I was a kid. I didn't really have like the arcade background that a lot of people did. But what ended up happening is when I moved to New Jersey, I moved around a lot when I was like a kid. And when I moved to where I live now in New Jersey, me and like my childhood friends, whatever, we just compete in everything. And to be honest, I wasn't even going to play Melee. I was going to play Halo 2. My first tournament was MLG Philly in 2005.
Wait, Wait, let me just interrupt real quickly. When you say compete in everything, were you talking about like your friends were competing with each other, or like you were already going out to competitions?
No, like we were just competing with like as boys. Like it's like 7 of us. So like we're always like, oh, who's the best at Soul Calibur?
Okay.
Who's the best at Bloody Roar? Who's the best at like Super Smash
Was
Bros.
it just fighting games, or was it other games as well?
Mario Golf. It was really serious in my neighborhood. Mario Tennis. I'm nice at Mario Tennis.
Okay.
Like just stuff like that. Just any multiplayer game I'd play with like my friends.
Okay.
Yeah. But you know, with Halo 2, they had Xbox Live.
Yeah.
We were playing online. It's like high school also ish, and I was actually my friends were better than me at Halo 2. I was like pretty good, but they were like really good. And once we found out that there were video game tournaments, in my head I was like, yo, I've been playing video games since I was like 1. Like I should, like I'm good at Halo. I should get with my boys and go. But the day of the tournament, they all dipped. Like, so we didn't have a team because, you know, 4 people for Halo. So I entered Super Smash with Melee because I was the best player on the planet, and I went 1-2. And that's how I started playing Smash.
You went 1 and 2?
Yeah, I went 1 and 2. Despite thinking I was the best player on the planet.
And then, so did you meet people? Like, what happened after that? So you went 1 and 2, and then at some point you obviously decided, like, I want to keep doing this, or I want to take it seriously, or like, how does this story evolve?
Yeah, so I went home. It was like, so by the way, if we're talking about back in the day with my childhood friends, I only lost them in shooters. I pretty much was like either tied for the best player in our neighborhood or like the best player in our neighborhood in most games. So like funny aside is like before I went to play Melee, I played one of my high school friends. And if I didn't like 5-stock him, I was like, I can't win MLG if I don't 5-stock you every time. It was really silly. So I went home and I was like, I gotta learn how to like wave dash and all this stupid nonsense. And so I started like practicing. And there was a guy I met at MLG Philly who was like, hey, like, you know, there's places you can go. Like you live near people. Like you should play. Like I think you could be like at least okay. Like you might as well play. I just said, yeah, like I'm gonna do it. Like I don't think this is like max ego, but I remember clearly thinking I don't think the people I lost to are actually smarter than I am. They just know like tricks, like wave dashing and stuff. So and I remember my crowning achievement at that tournament was beating a wave dasher. I was like, this guy wave dashes and I beat him. Like I don't need that. But and eventually I learned anyway. I learned about the scrubbiness and like how to get rid of my scrubbiness and stuff. Yeah.
So, how long were you playing Smash 4? Not Smash 4.
Yeah.
How long were you playing? How long were you playing Smash? And then when did that evolve into other fighting games? Well, anime fighting games, I guess.
So I played Smash for really really competitively for about 2 years. I played Melee and then Brawl came out. Melee, I pretty much learned how to like play games competitively properly. I actually was really fortunate. There was a special person who lived half an hour away from my house that no one would play, and he was the best player in our state. And really? No one would play him. No one would play him because he was too weird. He's just weird. Like he's so awkward. Like he's mad annoying. But I was new, so I was like, okay. Here's a good way for me to get better. Let me just die to the best player in our state like once a week, and then eventually I'll get better, right? Like, this should probably work, right? So either I'd go down there or he'd come to my place.
You had that mindset back then, because normally people's mindset is, because that is the mindset, right? For that is the mindset that everyone talks about, like go play, get beaten. Most people like they don't want to lose, and then they lose, and then they cry, and then they give up. You know, like it's interesting that you had that mindset. Like I don't understand. I guess I don't understand where did that come from? Was that just yourself, or did you learn that from someone else? This idea of losing in order to get better.
That one is, I don't know. I guess I just was like, he's the best in my state. I guess I just thought of it like he's the best in my state. Because you know Smash, you do the power ranking stuff, so like he's the best in our state. Like no doubt about it. And like I'm not super good. No one wants to play him. He will just play you. Like he will just nonstop play you. Like literally nonstop. Only bathroom breaks and like just beverages, I guess.
Yeah.
Like just nonstop. And he would tell me stuff, and he would try stuff on me too that he would end up using in tournaments. And I'm like, oh, I could do that. If he's doing it, I'm gonna do it. So I basically like copied him / he taught me indirectly taught me how to play by just beating me down. It's bad, like bad. I still don't think this player still plays the game. I still don't think anyone has lost to him as much as I have in the game, because it was like a period of maybe 7 months or so that we were like he was coming up to my place. And then of course, like because of that, I leveled up really fast. I stopped playing my really trash character Roy. I went to Marth because he played Marth, and then that went for a while. I didn't start fighting games until it was during then. My friend in high school had Melty Blood on his laptop and Guilty Gear on his laptop, and
In the bathroom.
not in the bathroom, in the library on his tablet, like the old ass tablet, and I was just watching him play Melty Blood. I'm like, this game, this game sucks. Like, let's play Guilty Gear. So I would play Guilty Gear with him, like casually. But one day he ordered a SBO DVD from Play Asia, but it was the Melty Blood DVD. I've never when I watched that, I was like, are you serious? These Japanese players, like they're in a ring and they have like they're walking out and like it's all this production and there's commentary. Like, what is going on? And I'm like. And the guy didn't win. Actually, the guy I was cheering for didn't win. He got second. But I was like, I'm gonna play that character, and I'm gonna play Melty Blood. And that's when I started playing like fighting games, like for real.
That was what Goichi wasn't Goichi the best of that game?
Goichi at that time, he was not the best player at that time. I think he was playing, but he was not the best player at that time.
Okay.
No. This is like what is it? It's like MBAC version A. Yeah, it's MBAC version A. So that's like in 2006.
So you moved into Melty Blood and left Smash behind, or playing at the same time, or playing lots of games, or like I guess I'm just trying to understand. Like you suddenly went from highly competitive Smash, as you put it, straight into sort of Melty Blood, I guess.
So I played I didn't learn my lesson. So I played Melty Blood for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And I went to NEC 7 in Philly because I was trying to do like college tours. So I was like, oh, I'll secretly go to NEC while I'm doing these college tours or whatever. And I entered a tournament and I went 1-2. And I said, this game sucks. I'm done. I quit for like 6 months. So I kept playing Smash during that. And then one day I started net playing Melty randomly after 6 months. I don't know why. But then I started playing Smash and Melty. Because Melty honestly was not super competitive at the time, but because Melee was super competitive, I was like really into like grinding and learning Melty, and there was online play and it wasn't bad, so I used that a lot at the start. I didn't stop playing Smash until people forget that Melee died. Like Brawl came out and everyone stopped playing Melee. I played Brawl for a while. I kind of got bored. The Melty Blood net play got better, so I was like, I guess I'll just play Melty. Like Melee didn't come back until like I don't know I don't know when ROM happened, but it was definitely after I quit Brawl.
So, all right, and then then you just got into anime fighters in general?
Yeah. I mean, I was playing Melty. I played Melty for a while. Like Street Fighter 4 came out while I was in college, and I had a chance to play in arcades, but I got bored of it after like three weeks. I was like, this is kind of lame. And then BlazBlue was coming out. I was like, well, I guess I could play BlazBlue. I guess it's like anime Street Fighter 4. Like maybe I'll get like some recognition from playing this game a little bit. Melty's like a hipster game now, but back then everyone just like they just shit on it. Honestly, everyone's like Melty, like whatever, like only scrubs for that game. Like no one plays, like whatever. So I mean, I didn't stop playing Melty because of that, but it just happened that I moved. Like my game choices were pretty much just based off like what's fun. Anime fighters are fun. Yeah.
So, because what I'm interested in is usually what's the first game somebody played, and then when did they decide to get competitive? But it sounds to me like you immediately started to get competitive. Like, when do you consider the point where you were like, all right, I'm going to take this seriously? And then what did you do? What habits did you change? What things did you start doing when you took these games seriously?
So I guess I get what you're trying to say. So it sounds weird because I'm like, oh, I went to this Melee tournament, but it's like we got the game. I played since it came out like 2001 or whatever with my friends, just like on and off, on and off, on and off. So when we went to the tournament, it was like at that tournament, I was like, I'm not gonna let these guys beat me. Like I'm gonna learn how to play the game. So by the time I started playing Melty, because I was like a year and a half or so after I started playing Melee, I was already like, well, of course I'm gonna go to a tournament. Like when tournament, like I was already going to tournaments all the time. So I was like, oh, I'll go to the Melty tournament. Like it's fine. Like I was already in that like mode of going and competing and then going around and stuff.
Okay. All right. We'll in a bit. We'll talk about in a bit. I don't know. It'll probably be another 40 minutes. But like we will talk about like how you, I guess, think about training and all that sort of stuff, because that's sort of where I want to get to in regards to that conversation, because I'm always interested in how people go from this is a fun video game and I kind of want to beat you to I'm going to sit at home and work at this as if I'm studying for an exam, you know. I find that fascinating. But before we do that, I want to ask you, what's been your proudest? What do you think has been your proudest moment so far in fighting games? Like it's been a while. Like Melee was 2001, so 17 years.
Well, okay, Joe, that's not fair. Melee, I guess Melee is like I started like 05, 06. Melty like tournaments, you know. So but like, I guess actually it's kind of hard. There are like it's always when like I go somewhere and I do something that people don't think I can do. Yeah, that's actually one of my big motivation points in fighting games in general. Is that I guess at this point now people are like, you know, like they expect me to be at a certain level, but for a long time, like you know, I'm from New Jersey. Anime in New Jersey is mostly non-existent. It's very weird because there are strong, like, you know, there's strong players from New Jersey. Like I'm from New Jersey, Hook Gang God's from New Jersey, Grover's from New Jersey. But when you actually like look at New Jersey, like those are like the only people. Like there's not actually a lot of people, especially if you consider like where I live, there's like mostly nobody. So when you're going to other regions, you know, it's, you know, people talking shit about you. It's like, there's no way you're gonna beat our best. Rah! So like when I go there and I do it, I'm like, yes, I did what they didn't think I could do. Like that. So it's anything like that. There's probably like it's a bunch of examples of that I've done, and those always have like a special place in my heart.
Is there any specific one that stands out in your mind?
I guess more than anything, I think it's actually the first time I won a major. It's probably like the biggest one. Okay. Yeah, because walking in that tournament, if you asked anyone, it was in Melty Blood, but if you asked any of them who would win that tournament, no one would have said it was me. It was really like left field to like win, and I was like crying. I was like, I did it! Oh, really? Yeah, I was in tears. I never won a major before. I usually get like second and stuff. Like people joke around about that sometimes, but like, you know, I really did get second a bunch of times. I really never won anything big. I beat the person who always beat me, and then I won the tournament after. Like I was like stunned.
Was it a double elimination? Mm-hmm. Did you stay on winners?
I got sent to losers in winners finals. So I got destroyed in winners finals too. That's the other thing. I got destroyed in winners finals. In losers finals, I had to beat the person who always beats me, and I beat him, and then I won the tournament after. It's like the limiter came off after I beat him. So I was like, oh yes.
And then he never beat you again.
Yeah, he really did never beat me again. He really never beat me again.
You broke him. Yeah. Okay, you figured it out. So the other part of your history I feel is important is that you've done a lot for the community in terms of content, right? So one of the places that, you know, I remember seeing you is on SRK doing various articles in regards to, I don't know, teaching people how to play fighting games. I think you did it through the lens of Street Fighter 4, actually, was some of the stuff that I saw. Is that what made you want to sort of contribute in that way?
I guess I know. Yeah. So at that time, I was feeling like a little weird about fighting games. I was like, I don't know, like what's going on. Like the job I was working then was like really rigorous and stuff, and I was still traveling. But I started thinking like, man, like I want to like help people out or leave something behind or something in case I like stop playing. So I pretty much asked someone. I forget who I asked, but I pretty much asked SRK. I was like, can I just like write this, and they said okay. So I just started writing just what I thought was important to help like new people. I did that for a while. Yeah.
You just felt like sort of a giving back, I guess.
Yeah, like a lot of that was like part giving back, part I felt like people asked the same questions a lot too, honestly, and I really wanted to like have something written down, partly to like be like, oh, I did this, like this was like a thing, it's available, partly so that if someone asked me something, I could just be like, just read this, like it's covered.
Yeah, you know what? Sometimes like when you're creating content, a lot of it is some of it is for other people, but some of it is for yourself as well. And you know, some of it is to reinforce like your own knowledge and to keep it there. I know that Brian F used to talk about making tech videos, and a lot of the time he was doing it for himself, you know, because it was like, you know, it's like when you say something out loud, you remember it better or something. It's like when you learn something, it's always good to play it back to somebody because you remember it better. Let's talk about Dragon Ball.
Cool.
Tell me what your team is, and tell me why you picked that team, and if it's evolved. Like if you had another team that you started with and it evolved, talk to me about that process.
Okay, so right now I play Kid Buu, Cell, and Android 16. That is definitely an evolution from what I started. My original team was Android 18, Kid Buu, Frieza. I dropped Frieza for Goku. I dropped Goku for Trunks. I put Trunks in the front. I dropped Android 18 for 16. And then the last change I made was I dropped Trunks for Cell. A lot of choices went behind all that stuff. The reason why I play this team right now is I think Kid Buu has arguably the best neutral in the game. He has unsealable mix all the time if you have assists available. His damage is very good. And he's just good at, and he's small, so I mean they patched the Gohan stuff out, but he was like good against Gohan. Gohan is really popular in this area, and he is top tier. So I had all those benefits. Cell supports Kid Buu really well. You get mixed up with them. They get the DHC synergy for really high damage. And when Cell is on point, so for some reason, like let's say I kill a character of my full team, I usually end with double Cell super. If Cell is on point, then he gets a really good mix up with Kid Buu and Android 16. 16 is like my support. He's my comeback factor. He enables touch of deaths, many touch of deaths. The whole team, by the way, they all help each other touch of deaths. All three of them can touch a death you. Yeah, but when you have all three characters, all three of them can do it. Cell is the most meter efficient one. 16 is like the long game / the really common one is when someone like air dashes. People do air dash pressure multiple times. So if I see it and I anti-air them, I can attack 16 and kill the character. Like the character's just dead.
Wow.
So he helps out with that, and his assist is really good, really good. So it's just a bunch of how the characters work well together, and of course the last part was 16 in the back. I really like at the end of a game. Basically, I had a theory where, at least before yesterday, everyone needs either Vegeta or 16. Like you can play mostly whatever you want. Right. Like any point you want, and then a bunch of assists, like maybe 10 or 12 assists in the second slot, and then your last character should be 16 or Vegeta. I think Vegeta is really boring to play, so I picked 16.
So you think 16's assist is in your mind just as strong as Vegeta's? Or?
No. So at the end of a game, so I mean, if you talk about assists, they both have really good. Vegeta's obviously better. Yeah. His assist is good too for a bunch of stuff, and they both support teams too, right?
Okay.
But the main thing for me is like for example, if I had Vegeta, I wouldn't have the same touch of death that I have with 16, but I'd have like other stuff, right? Yeah. But the main thing is like, what do I want to do at the end of a game? Do I want to stall and make them scared? Like I think Vegeta has the best defense because he has the DP, and he can stall really well. Yeah. So it's like, do I want to be the best defense or do I want to have the best offense? With 16, like the threat is always there. Gotcha. I prefer the latter. I'd rather be. Like, I mean, I play pretty safe, but like I'd rather have the threat of me attacking you than me having to play well on defense at the end.
Okay, gotcha. I went to assist because you said Vegeta, because not many people talk about the air DP. That some people do. The Japanese players, I think, when I interviewed them, they talked about the air DP, but a lot of people don't. They just go Vegeta has to be on the team because of assists. So when you said him, I was like, wait, Vegeta, yeah. So all right, when people pick a team, you know, I don't know. Dragon Ball is interesting to me because it seems like everybody just says pick 3-point characters.
Yeah.
Is that how you think about putting a team together? If somebody came up to you and said, "I want to put a team together," like, what sort of advice would you give them?
I would pretty much say, I guess I used to think that. I would pretty much say, I don't know about right now, but if you asked me 2 days ago.
The patch just dropped.
Yeah,
the patch just dropped.
You can pretty much use any character on point. The second character should be like, I don't know them all offhand, but there are a bunch of like pretty good assists you can pick. And then ideally they work interchangeably. Ideally, and your anchor should be 16 or Vegeta.
Okay.
Yeah.
For the comeback factor, either on defense or on offense, basically.
Plus they both of them support the teams. First of all, if you played Vegeta, you literally get to skip part of learning the game. So the thing about my last team, the Trunks team that I played, I had a lot of problems because I didn't have Vegeta on my team. But the benefit was I got to learn way more about the system because of that. Because the answers I had to come up with were like different than, oh, I could just call Vegeta. Yeah, because there are a lot of stuff in this game where the answer is I could just call Vegeta. Maybe not anymore, patch, whatever. But at least before they changed Vegeta's assist, like for example, knockdown, right? Knockdown, if you have a Vegeta assist, you call Vegeta. Right? You have time to confirm everything that happens. If they block, you can mix up. If they reflect, then you can just sit there and see what's going on. They can't change their timing because Vegeta's so long. But if you don't, like I had Kid Buu. It was Trunks Kid Buu 16. So for a long time, like there was a tournament I went to where the guy I played in grand finals, he just did delay down tech. You know, you can sit on the ground. So he just did that over and over and over. I didn't have a response for it. I got bodied because I never got to mix him up. Yeah. He would just wait and then get up and mash immediately. If I had Vegeta, just call Vegeta. Yeah. But after I was like, this is a problem for me. I need to see what to do. Then I had a response. Then next time we played, it was a very different set.
Very different.
Yeah, very, very different.
So, all right, let's start talking about the patch. But we'll start off with, has the patch affected your team? I mean, so far, it's been less than 24 hours, I guess, or whatever it's been like, 24 hours-ish. Do you feel like the patch is making you question your team in any way?
A little bit. I'm a little uncertain about Android 16. I think Kid Buu, honestly, Kid Buu, the thing that I thought they were going to take away, they took away. He had a thing with his candy beam where it would, if you use it, then next time you use it, you could make it hit multiple times. It did a lot of damage. So I'm going to say this a lot. It enabled touch of deaths. So there'd be times where like if you stomp them, candy sparking, they're dead. They took that away. But that's not a big deal because literally everything else about him has been left alone except for that thing. 16 is question mark because I have used him for comebacks, and like the way I think about using sparking and stuff like revolves around him a little bit. Like I know there are a bunch of players who use level 1 sparking to protect their team, stuff like that. I'm not necessarily that person all the time. Like my sparking usage tends to vary for a bunch of reasons, so I have to just play and see. 16 is the one he feels fine, but there's DLC coming out. There's maybe other characters I could play. It's weird. It's a weird spot. I'm playing him today though.
But his vortex is he still has one, right?
Sort of. It feels like they actually gave him slightly more frame advantage, but the trade-off is, of course, you could tech. You can like delay. You can delay, wake up. You can flip up. You flip backwards. You can do a bunch of stuff. So mid-screen, it feels like much weaker. Especially if he's alone. If he's alone, it feels much weaker. If you have an assist, it feels fine. It actually feels more than fine. Because if you do something plus call an assist, like because of the way they get up, it works like a sliding knockdown, except they don't slide. So normally there's a situation when you do a slide knockdown, if you get up in place and someone tries to do a safe jump, sometimes you get up under them, but it will never happen if Android 16, like ever. Okay. so it kind of helps him. In the corner, I think it's fine. I think it's okay. And of course, you still have your level 3 knockdown. So for me, since I play him in the back, sometimes I have like 6 bars or whatever. So I'm like, oh, I got 2 free hard knockdowns. Like, yay. So it's not all bad.
Okay, so the patch notes came out, like whatever, a couple of days ago. Then the patch itself came out yesterday. It's not been a long time, so obviously there's a caveat to this question, which is that it's not been out a long time. But based on what you've seen so far of the actual patch, is it as drastic and terrible as everybody was freaking out about?
No, it's actually a very subtle patch overall. It only, honestly, is majority bug fixes and then like a couple of complaints. I'm actually pretty happy with the patch, even though one of my characters got changed.
Okay.
For sure. Changed for sure. It actually reminds me like in Persona 4 Arena 1, the console version that came out that we all played is not the actual vanilla version of the game. They actually patched the game after a month, and we never got to play it. We never got to play that version of the game. So it actually reminds me of that, because I clearly remember them nerfing 3 characters specifically. Okay. So it reminds me of that. I prefer not major changes, especially with all these like big tournaments coming up. And they never said it was like an update. They just said, oh, we're gonna patch. So I think a lot of people were kind of when they hear patch, like, where are the changes? And then it's now like an update, which is a lot of changes are coming.
Do you think this is how the game was meant to be? Is that what you're saying when you talk about Persona? So I understand that point.
Yeah, pretty much like what it shows me too. Kid Buu is a really good example, right? Because Kid Buu, they literally changed only 2 things. One thing barely matters. It's not a nerf or buff. It's just something about scaling for a super that, depending on your team, you don't even use very often. So the only thing they changed is the thing about Candy. So all the other stuff about it, because he's really good. He's really, really good. But the only thing they changed was that thing, which is kind of a mistake, like probably a mistake on their part, they feel. So changes like that, or like Cell, they didn't do anything to Cell. People complain about Cell a lot. Yeah. They didn't do anything to Cell. So that's telling me, like, they're like, Cell, like, this is what we wanted Cell to be. Like, this is what he was supposed to be. Or like, there's a bunch of characters who, like Bardock, they left Bardock alone. He's a top 2 character, just left him alone. No changes. No changes at all. Like, so it kind of tells me, like, this is what we were looking for. And we want to see how this game plays.
So you don't feel like it's like RIP this character or RIP that character? You think the general tier list is probably going to shake out roughly the same? Or you feel like maybe... Do you feel like there's other changes to the game? So like this invulnerable backdash is going to change the game a bit maybe? Like, I guess what I'm asking is there anything in this patch where you feel like, okay, this is the biggest thing that's going to change?
So the backdash thing you're talking about is kind of big. But I don't really feel like they're like huge changes. Like Gohan, like, I get what everyone's complaining about with, like, he makes you block for mad long and stuff. But he's still gonna make you block for mad. When he gets level 1, he gets like 4 extra normal. His auto combo gets longer when he levels up. Okay. So like, you're complaining about blocking for a long time, you're still gonna block for a long time into an assist, he has a real 50-50s. So you still have to block that. You're gonna die mostly the same way. The only difference is he can't spend a bar to do some nonsense. Like, instead he has to like stagger like most good characters do. Like that's like, I think Gohan's not gonna move that much. They didn't touch DP assist at all. Like that's something I complained about. I really don't like DP plus assist. Yeah. But they just fine, right? Just okay. 16. I think point 16 teams are pretty much dead, like straight up, because the way they play the game, like the game is just told you can't do that. Yeah. So I don't think you'll see so much of that. I still think he's good. I don't know how good he is yet. Like I said, I gotta play. Because I'm going to keep him on my team until at least the DLC comes out, I'm pretty sure.
You ever thought about what you'd like to see, how you'd like to see the game evolve? So if they did, for instance, I don't know when, but because, it seems like Arxis don't do that many patches, but if they did do a patch and they changed some things reasonably significantly, are there things that you would like to see changed, and what are they?
Probably the biggest things would be, like, please no DP assist. It's not as bad as DP tag in Marvel. That I actually almost quit Marvel Infinite because of DP tag. I think it's so scrubby. I think it's so scrubby that you could do that. I'm sure there's answers, but I and the DP motion is down. People complain about Dragon Ball's no DP input, but Zero's DP is down. So that means it doesn't matter what side you're on. He could DP, right? That drives me nuts, right? DP assist is not as bad, but it's still kind of bad. It would be nice if DP assist was gone. It would be nice if they buffed guard cancel. If they buffed guard cancel, I think a lot of people from other scenes would not complain so much about defense. Because I actually think defense in the game is pretty strong. But if you're used to games where you could do a lot of stuff in block stun, like push block or like IB, instant block and stuff like that, then you're probably like, when you're blocking, all you do is block. But if you've ever played a game where all you can do is block, I feel like I have a lot of tools when I'm blocking. But I think guard cancel is it's a little too weak. They can even leave it punishable still. I think just they need to take the freeze out. You know, the game the screen freezes and turns black. If they just turn that, just get rid of that, I think it'll be quite a bit better. Those are probably. I have like a greedy one, which is makes sparking start up a little slower, but they're not gonna do that. They're never gonna do that.
Why is that greedy?
Because like when I was playing 16, it used to drive me nuts that you couldn't safe jump sparking. It used to really piss me off. That you couldn't, but like it's a greedy request.
Okay.
It's a greedy request. It's definitely greedy. I know. I'm a bad person.
Hey, you're not a bad person. Trust me, I've had way worse. What's the worst? Haitani. You should see my Haitani interview when I asked him what he would like changed. It was all about his character just dominating everybody else. I was like, that's ridiculous. Sparking has evolved so much so quickly, and it's been brilliant to watch like how it's evolved. And I wanted to ask you, do you have a set of rules right now about sparking? You told me you sort of fluctuate between maybe two things. Tell me what those are and why.
Okay. There's a few things. One, if I have a touch of death I could do that involves sparking, done for sure. I'll do it. It doesn't matter what the character is either.
So you use level 1 sparking to kill a character.
Yeah, because I can like my team has a lot of ways to kill you, like do 100% damage to you. So if you think about how people use defensive sparking, like I want to save the character, then I'm like, I want to get rid of the character. Like it's worth spending it to get rid of the character too. 3 is better than 2, obviously. Yeah. That's the primary one. It's also one of the reasons why I don't use defensive level 1 sparking so often too, because again, because the characters I play all do a lot of damage. There's a chance that I can use level 2 sparking to kill a character if I can like fix the flow of the game a little bit. So that's okay. As far as defensive sparking, it really depends on a few things. It depends a lot on who the opponent's team is playing. So I'll give an example. Apology Man plays Piccolo, Tien, Vegeta. He uses level 1 sparking almost always. And
to save or to attack?
So defensively.
He uses defensively.
Yes. So at a surface level, you're like, he wants to save the character. Yeah. But there's actually like extra benefits for him using it early too, because if he quote unquote hits you so if I get hit by him by anyone who uses level 1 sparking, in my head I'm like, they won the sparking, because take his team. It's Piccolo, Tien, Vegeta. Piccolo needs meter to function. Tien is way more dangerous for meter. So if he hits you, you get double the meter. He almost guarantee will have 6 or 7 bars for a very long period of time. So like considering a Piccolo team, he gets many opportunities to do stuff that he wouldn't normally be able to do early game. So if the opponent is using a level 1 sparking and they have that type of team, I might consider, like, they might try to force themselves on me to get it mixed up and get the meter and blah, blah, blah. I might consider using level 1 sparking too. The same as like Sonic Fox. Sonic Fox wants to protect Cell, but he also gets the benefit of all the extra meter. He might kill your character also. So against that type of team, I would be like, I need to protect myself. Yeah. For someone who has a less scary type of team build, I usually think about using level 2 or level 3. Like if the game is going kind of poorly and I think I could turn it around, I'll use level 2. If 16 is my last character, I'll actually consider using level 3 because that would help my comeback. If the team build is less explosive and meter reliant, then I won't be so prone to use level 1 defensive sparking.
Gotcha. Shenron. do you think about Shenron? Is there a point where like you hit 5 or 6? Like, do you keep an eye on the Dragon Balls and the meters? Is Shenron a thought for you? And have you had a Shenron moment?
Shenron's always a thought.
Okay.
Because it's pretty. So I have one that Kid Buu, you know, he could do the DHC synergy where he could do 2 level 1s.
Yeah.
So what happens is my team will definitely get the 7th Dragon Ball just because it does so much hits.
Okay.
So Shenron can always happen.
Okay.
It hasn't happened with this team. My Shenron moment was actually I didn't know how it worked. So we had 7 Dragon Balls, but the auto combo I did went into me getting 7 meter, which didn't give it to me. You have to already have 7 meter.
Yeah.
So I did the auto combo and it didn't come out, and I was like, what's going on? And the guy just killed me because I was so confused. And I was like, dude, Shenron. He was like, you had the Dragon Balls? I was like, yes, that's my comeback. No, it didn't happen. Yeah. But I look at it all the time because my team always gets the 7th Dragon Ball by doing combo into super, because it's like 100 something hits. So
yeah, there are certain teams that do. Like somebody said to me the other day that adult Gohan generally will get like 7 Dragon Balls based on whatever, him being on the team and the combos that he does. Bizarrely, some people don't even realize that it's not just auto combos that get the Dragon Balls. It's like, you know, it's like 10, I think it's like, you know, over 10 to 20 hits is the one Dragon Ball, 20 to 30 hits in a combo is, you know, and some people actually don't know that, which, you know, it's fine because, you know, Shenron doesn't come up that often, but I feel like that, you know, like it's that little extra bit of knowledge that potentially could give you that comeback one day in the Evo Grand Finals. I keep saying it, but like that's when it's gonna happen. But you keep an eye. You when is it? Like when the 6-1 hits or something? Like something goes up in your head, or
honestly, anytime the thing comes up, I look at it.
Oh, you do?
Yeah. Especially like maybe like early game, no, but if like 2 characters die, like one on my team, one on their team or something, I start looking at it.
And do you think to yourself that it would be pretty sick if I hit this?
I definitely think I might need Shenron.
Do you start saving meter? Do you start saving meter?
No.
You don't start saving the 7 meters. Okay.
No, but if I see myself, like, I think last weekend I almost legitimately got it too because they had 7 Dragon Balls.
Okay.
But I had 6 bars and I hit the guy with 16. I was like, it's 16. I don't need Shenron for this. Like, so I'll spend the bar and like whatever. Yeah.
All right. Fair enough. I'm fascinated by it. I can't wait till it happens in a really big tournament, and then I can't wait for people to cry about it, because you know they are, right? It's going to be like, there's a party mechanic. Oh my god, you know. All right, cool. So no need to talk about tier lists because I think everybody knows what the tier list is. Let's talk about a little bit about current competition. There's been a few first to 10s, you know, Guigi and Sonic Fox. And is there anybody out there at the moment that you feel like I really want to play that guy in a first to 10?
I think the obvious answer people expect is Sonic Fox, but I actually want to play the kill stage again.
Oh, you do? Tell me why.
We played in Microsoft Mixer in March, and we played in Grand Finals, and he won. But I don't like the way he won, to be honest. I really don't like the way he won. Yeah, he basically counted on me messing up, and I messed up, and I think that's really shitty. So even though he's a super good player, but the thing that he chose to do only wins if you make a mistake, and that's what he chose.
Wait, you need to explain that to me a little bit better.
It is an Android 16 mirror.
Yeah.
Neither of us has sparking. I earned a hit.
Yeah.
And I did my safe jump, but I did it too slow. So he hit me with the anti-air on wake up. You can't hit someone you can't do wake up anti-air to the safe jump. But because I messed up, I got hit by the anti-air and I died and he won. And I was so angry. I was really mad.
He took a chance on the fact that you would have mistimed it.
Pretty much. That doesn't work. Like, I mean, it worked is what I'm saying, but I don't like. He's very good. I respect him a lot, but I don't like that.
So you're pretty salty about that.
I'm over it. I was really salty. We went to the bar.
That's what I mean. Like, you were salty at the time.
I went to the bar right after. I spent like half the money I got on like shots.
That's funny. That's so funny. All right. Well, maybe, I mean, if you get into something of power, maybe you'll get a run back. Well, certainly you'll get a run back here at some point. All right. So, talking of players. Do you have a favorite player to watch currently in Dragon Ball?
Dragon Ball specifically, or just like?
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, like, do you have somebody you find interesting to watch in Dragon Ball? You know.
I watch the Japanese players because they play differently than American players. It's interesting to see their responses in certain situations. I'm like, oh, do I think this is good or I think it's not? Like, of course, I watch Koichi. Dogura plays Kid Buu. So I actually watch Dogura a lot because when I started playing Kid Buu Cell, I realized even though I played Kid Buu the whole period, like I played Kid Buu since day -15 or whatever. But I never played him on point. So I was like, oh, I actually don't really know what I'm doing with him on point. And so I like watched a lot of him. I watch Sonic Fox a lot. I watch Nakio. And I guess that's that. Oh, I watch like. I basically I watch like a couple people, and if I have like a question about something, I'll like go look for a player who plays that team. So like I watch like Reynold. Like some of my combos were kind of weird with Cell and 16, and he uses Cell and 16, and people are like his combos are crazy. So I was like, okay, I'll just copy his combos. Like he uses those two characters. That helped me out a lot. But I wouldn't say there's like a specific #1 player that I'm just like I can't wait to watch him play.
All right, so let me ask you this, because this is people love hearing about, you know, like there's people out there who'll be like, Lord Knight is my favorite player, right? But one of the sort of questions that people love is, well, who's Lord Knight's favorite player? Do you have a favorite player of all time? It doesn't have to be in Dragon Ball, it can be in anything. And can you tell me why?
It's Woshige.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. He is an artist in fighting games. I'm not exaggerating. He is so like he's so good with Milia. It's insane. The only reason I play Milia is because of Woshige Milia. Also,
okay.
Yeah.
What makes him so strong? Is it creativity? Is it execution? Like what is it?
His ability to play in high pressure is out of control. His ability to like plan, like once you understand what he's doing, he's very like well put together in his play. A lot of Milia is very fast. It's Guilty Gear talk, but Milia is like really fast, has a lot of mobility, blah blah blah. A lot of people play like the high speed Milia, like I'm going in and stuff. Yeah. Like Woshige like he really plays. He really values like matchup strategy. So like if he plays Soul, he is not running around really fast. He's playing very carefully. He knows how to deal with specific interactions and stuff. He targets his opponent's defense like super good. Like his footsies are insane, like really insane. If you're considering that Milia is a pixie and he plays her like that, like he is so good that I watched videos of him playing AC 2010 to like 2012 in 2015 in Xrd to learn how to play Xrd. That's how insane, like it's crazy how ahead of his time he actually is. From the perspective of a US anime player, he is so ahead of his time also. Like I still think he's the best melee player. It's actually crazy. Like I'm a really big Woshige fan, like straight up.
Does he still compete at the moment?
Not really.
Because of it, I mean, he works Capcom, right? So
not really. Once in a while, you get to see him play and stuff. Yeah. It's always really good to see him play. But I mean, honestly, there was a time, actually here. It was actually like in the first year or something. Next Level was running Guilty Gear, and like I'd always do pretty well. I'd always do pretty well. If I got to grand finals, I'd play Lost Soul. He'd like beat me. I'm like, oh, I gotta figure out what to do. But there was one time where I went 1 and 2, and I was like, what is wrong with me? Like, why am I so like, what is wrong with me? I stopped playing Guilty Gear for a week. That whole week, all I did was watch Woshige AC matches. And not only that, I learned way more about the game from doing that. I leveled up a lot for a bit, and it kind of like reset myself in the game too, and made me understand that the way that people look at Milia and the way that someone who actually is like a master with Milia is way different, and it helped me out a lot.
All right, so that's good. That's a nice segue into training, actually, because I think you're a good person to talk to about that, because you've done content in the past, and I think you think a lot about how to I don't know. You think out the box. I think a lot because I've seen interactions with you on Twitter and stuff. I asked to Killsage recently. He had a question about how to switch between games, and I think you had responded to him in regards to like how to think about switching in between different games at tournaments and stuff like that. And it was like you can retrain your brain or something like that. And I was like, Jesus Christ, what's he talking about? So a lot of people out there, the common question that I get to ask players is training. You know, what do you do? But like detail. You know, like how do you think about training? You know, so for instance, Dragon Ball, brand new game. You know, you said you watch videos. Like, what else do you do? Like, how much time do you spend in the training room? Do you have a regime? Like, do you practice combos? Do you practice situations? What do you do?
I guess the place I start at is like fighting games, right? Fighting games are like about problem solving and critical thinking before anything else. So what I do, a lot of what I do now is I just try to constantly address the problems I have in the game. Whether it's like a common situation or what to do about characters. I in training room, what I try to do is like I have a problem, I need to solve the problem. So the way I look at it is like there's these characters in the game, they could do all this stuff. There's these system mechanics. There's all these things that could happen. First, after Dragon Ball is new, right? So after I played Dragon Ball for a while, like early, I was like, okay, so what do I like hate dealing with? What do I don't understand? What is constantly giving me problems?
Do you just jump in? Like when you picked up the game, right? Did you first spend like a day watching videos, or did you just jump in and sort of take it from there and figure out what your problems were?
I sort of played the closed beta. I played a little bit of the closed beta. I did like some just combo practice with my friend, just a little bit, just to make sure I could do stuff when I hit people. And then in the open beta, they wouldn't let you do that anymore. You could only play random people. So you legit had no choice but to just play.
No training room, right?
Yeah. There's no training room at all. So since I was streaming also, I'm able to watch my own matches. So I take like my memory of my emotions from when I'm playing and like the actual matches. I'm really bad at remembering my own matches. I only remember like man, if we're talking about really early, like man, I don't know how to do a vanish like Mad Scrubby, or like up tech drive me crazy or something like that. I remember that stuff. And then so that's like top of the list because I remember it. And then the other stuff comes from like watching, like, oh, I respected this, like, is this real or something like that. Like I'll like write down what I have to do. So I actually keep a notebook where every new game I play, I make a new notebook.
Okay.
And I filled out with all the characters in the game. I have a special note about like the game system mechanics because that's constantly going to come up. And the goal is pretty much just fill it with stuff. So it's really nice having it written down because you might think you're at a certain point in your game, but you'll see in a notebook that it's empty. Like there's something that's not there. Like for example, like Tien, like if the section on defense is empty, that means like, oh, I haven't worked on defending Tien. Like right now, that means if I play Tien, that means I'm blocking, I'm kind of just freestyling.
Yeah.
As opposed to like Cell, or actually the first character that I filled out defense was Android 16 actually. Okay. Android 16. I like if I block, when I say defend, I mean a rush, like he's rushing you down, not vortex or anything. So like when I block Android 16, I know exactly what to do. I'm like, this is happening, these are my options, these are his options. Like that's what I like having. It's pretty, first of all, it takes a long time, but second of all, it's pretty scientific. I'm not the instinctual type of player. Well, that's not totally true. I'm not the type that can this is like one thing I envy about like Sonic Fox, for example, that he could just kind of like do stuff. Like he obviously works really hard too, but also in the moment he could just be like, I'm just gonna do this. I can't totally, like, I'm able to take risks and stuff like that. I'm not saying I'm not a risk taker, but like if there's a situation I don't know how to deal with, especially like the worst is running into a character I don't know how to deal with, because then I'm just like I literally look like a stone chicken. I don't know what to do. So it takes me time. Traditionally, it takes me time to like become like really strong by my standards.
Right. So you're it sounds like a bit of a perfectionist, which would make sense for a top player. But you are an information gatherer, and it takes a while for you to get to a point where you feel like you have enough information to be able to play the game properly to your to the standards that you want to be able to play it, right? Mm-hmm. So let's break this down a little bit. So you have a game, right, like Dragon Ball FighterZ. You begin playing it, you pick some of the characters that you like, you practice some of their combos in the training room, you go out and then you start playing, and then that's when you start figuring out, okay, these are some of the issues, these are some of the things that I don't understand, and then that's the problem solving that comes in. You're like, you write it down, you write down things that work, you write down things that don't work, and then with the things that don't work, you go and you figure it out in the training room, or you figure it out via going on figuring out
training mode for sure.
Training mode.
Training mode for sure. Training mode.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how much time do you spend in general? And maybe it changes over the course of the life cycle of the game, and but how much time do you spend, for instance, watching other players play? How much time do you spend watching your own matches? How much time do you spend grinding ranked, let's say online? How much time do you spend in the training room practicing your own combos or situations? Like, do you have a set routine every day, or is it just whatever you wake up and decide you're going to do?
Yeah, it's definitely whatever I'm gonna choose to do. Like, I don't have like, oh, today at like 8 a.m. I'm gonna like play this amount of time. Mm-hmm. It kind of depends on where I am in the game though. Like at the start, you just have to put your time. Like you can't like I'm gonna use Tian again as an example, right? Like I can't go in a trading room, and some people can do this. I have no idea. I respect them. I don't get how you do it, but I can't go into like the lab against Tian and be like, oh, like this is the thing they're gonna do, and this is what I'm gonna do about it. Like you have to actually play against the character. So early game is a ton of playing, like just a ridiculous amount of playing. It's very, very like a lot of playing, a little bit of watching my matches, and like training only when necessary, which is like a decent amount. The longer the game goes on, the less I technically play. Dragon Ball is a little special because I switch teams sometimes. So like anytime I'm learning a new character, I gotta play. But if I wasn't switching, then like I'll technically be playing less and be doing like more training mode, more watching matches. But that's only because at the start I play so much. Like I play a lot because you need that time. You came and you're not gonna know what to do if you haven't even played, pretty much.
So in regards to all these different things that you do, right? What do you feel is the most important thing, out of like watching others, watching yourself, being in the training room, grinding? Like, is there anything where you go, okay, if there's one thing you have to do, it's definitely this?
It's planning.
Planning.
So the whole goal is basically the ideal is to understand, have character matchup strategy against all the characters to a very high level, to the point that you don't actually have to play the other player that much. You just do the plan you have, and if they act outside of your plan, this kind of depends on the game too. So Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball is extra special because it's a team game. I'll use like BlazBlue for example. BlazBlue, like most of the characters. Actually, Persona's even better example. Persona, most of the characters ideally can be played one way. Like there's an ideal way to play them. Okay. So if you have like a really good matchup strategy against them, then if someone does something that's outside of your plan, it's not so crazy. Like you just be like, oh well, whatever. Like you could adjust a little bit. It doesn't take a lot of like resources from you mentally or whatever. It's fine. Again, like Guilty Gear, it really depends on the character. You'd want your matchup strategy to be so high that it doesn't matter what type of player you run into. Like, since characters play differently, you have different types of play. Like the Soul, you have the Wild Boy Soul who runs around to special moves. This guy mashes DP. This guy refuses to play footsies. This guy's always jumps. Like, there's a bunch of things. It's almost Street Fighter-esque, maybe. I mean, I'm probably saying that wrong. But you want to get to a point where you can quickly identify the type of player they are, adjust your matchup strategy because you should already be prepared, and then do the job. Dragon Ball is a little bit special because you have the character matchup strategy, and then you have the team build. That's what I've been calling it, like the team build. So what I mentioned before, like Apology Man plays Piccolo, Tien, Vegeta. So that Tien Vegeta is actually a pretty strong team build. It's not common, but it's actually quite strong. The most common one is, of course, why am I blanking on now? Cell Vegeta, or was Cell Vegeta. Cell Vegeta, that assist build. So you'd have to just be aware about the assist build and then also have your matchup strategy. It's not that much extra, but so the ideal is just to get to a point where you don't have to actually adjust very much unless the person actually truly makes you like work for it. That's the goal. Planning is number one for me.
So in that planning, I know that some people like to play. So for instance, Dragon Ball's a bit different because it's a team and there's multiple variations. But certainly in Street Fighter, one of the things that I've seen a lot of players do is actually, if they want to learn a matchup, they'll actually just play as the opposing character for a while. Mm-hmm. Is that something that you advocate? Do you think that's a good strategy, or do you prefer the analytical? He's going to do this, I can do this.
I have done that before. It's definitely if I learn a character to learn what they do, it's a special exception. I usually don't do it. Okay. I usually try to play against the character, do what we talked about before. Play against the character, see what makes me angry, see what honestly it's true though. See what makes me angry, see what I struggle with, watch the videos, and then see like the truth also, and then like be like, okay, so for this I gotta do this, and like look at frame data or whatever I have to do. If I have to learn the character, it's usually because no one plays the character is usually the main reason. That's happened. So like for example, I played Teddy in Persona 4 Arena. There's no East Coast Teddy. Okay. Technically Hook and God, but he didn't go to tournaments at the time. He just played online. Okay. I played Teddy before. I played Tao Kaka in BlazBlue. Like once in a while I would pick a character because no one plays them, so I can't even get matches against the character, so I have to learn the character and then be like, well, if it was me I would do this, so I'll try to get really good at the character too, so I could be like, okay, if it was me I would do this, so then what would I do against like myself in this situation, and then break it down like that and try to find somebody who plays the character so I could like try it on them.
You sound like one of those chess players who plays themselves. Just keep switching the board around. All right, so I wanted to deep dive into that because I feel like you're one of these people who's able to express some of that stuff a little bit better than others. There is one other question I want to ask you, is more about the notes. So you talked about you have a notebook. I know for a fact that at least 2 years ago you were using Evernote and thought it was the greatest thing ever. Yeah. Like you were selling it to, I feel like you were selling it to everybody. You know, do you still use Evernote, and like, how many notes do you have, and how often do you refer to them?
I do still use Evernote. Yeah. I probably have like over 600 notes. Okay. Probably between like random stuff, like, oh, I need to read this book or something. Like, there are books I have to read or something. If it's fighting game related, it's probably like several hundred though. Okay. I'm not the infiltration, look at your notes in tournament person. Or if you see me look at my phone, honestly, it's either an anime girl. Or see, that's not a joke, and or it's like a really short, like just relax, Steve, or like you're fine, like that kind of just like. Oh, you write little affirmations? Yeah, I tried that before. That helped me a little bit before. Yeah. But yeah, I don't usually look at my notes while I'm playing. What I like the notes for is that I can type out like my thoughts and like plans and stuff, and I can literally see what I don't know, because there's going to be empty spaces in the note. So that's the main. So like, it's like a way to keep track of where I am in the game. Okay. So you have a pretty studious kind of approach to the game. Do you freak out when you come across a situation which is unknown to you, or do you have like a way of dealing with that? When that happens, I just do my best. You can't. There's nothing else you can do. I've definitely that's happened a bunch of times in Dragon Ball, that like I just ran into something I didn't know how to deal with, lost immediately, like quick. Then when I reviewed the tapes or something, and we're like, Like I asked somebody who plays that character, hey, can you like watch this with me and tell me what happened or something. Yeah. After it's always like, oh, I let them get away with all this stuff and blah blah blah. But it's okay. Like it sucks to lose, but it's okay if you learn.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, actually, you talked a little bit about the affirmations on your phone there, which actually leads into my next question, which is more about pressure and competing for real. You know, not in your bedroom in your underpants, as most of us do online. Like, you know, come out to tournaments, right? And it's totally different. Like, a lot of people don't realize this, but it really is. Even when the first time you sit down next to somebody and you're not in your own environment and you're playing a game and there's lots of noise going on and there's a different monitor and all that stuff and it's different lag and blah, 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 blah. And then there's a whole nother level, right? Which is when you get through the tournament and you're on stream and all that sort of stuff. Do you remember the first time that you were on stream, for instance, and have you found a way to deal with pressure, and what is it?
I tried a lot of stuff. Right now, I'm like half taquito mode, like take a lot of deep breaths before I play and just try to relax. I used to like write affirmations, it's like, it's okay, just like don't forget your plan. I also used to keep like little like really small notes about players, especially in Guilty Gear, like just like what happens when they block, like rush down, like just like a little quick thing, like this guy's preference is to do this, and then like also it's okay, like right under, like just don't freak out or something.
Like quick reminders.
Yeah, just little things like this is what's up. You already know what to do. Just like don't feel bad, because like I usually travel alone. Like I said before, I'm from New Jersey, so what ends up happening is I go to areas by myself, so I'm usually not the person people are cheering for and stuff, which really, really bothered me before after a while. So I started doing these things to try to like make myself feel better. Essentially, my main goal is just to feel like okay when I'm playing.
How were the nerves manifesting themselves? Like, was it nerves, and how were they manifesting themselves?
It was like a few. Of course, nerves is a big one. Outside of like just physically feeling different, of course it's like what you're thinking while you're playing too. Like, so if something doesn't go well, like I would start getting distracted and stuff while playing. Yeah. So for example, like crowd cheering against me, I'm really nervous, something wrong happens. So like one huge pet peeve that I have is when people get hyped for mistakes. So when I mess up and people get excited, I'm just like shut the fuck up. Like that was obviously a mistake. Like that guy didn't do something good. So like it's trying to keep those thoughts to a minimum, because they come up a lot when I'm playing, like especially in tournament, like when I'm playing. So it's a lot like just stay calm, because you need to focus on actually playing the game. And the guy you're playing is pretty good too, probably, and you have to deal with everything around you. So it's like dealing with physical and the mental part has been difficult for me.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
But you're gradually getting there.
Yeah, it's still like a thing. It's still a thing. Dragon Ball has some difficult parts. Like one, despite like how good people are getting, it's honestly only been like 3 months. I think I still have a lot more stuff to learn, even though I think I'm pretty good at the game. And if you feel like if you're not 100% as any fighting game, but Dragon Ball feels more like if you're not 100% in it, like you're just gonna get washed like really bad. There have been days like my bad days in this game in tournament have been really bad, and my good days have been like amazing. Like I'll like win for free, or like I won't drop a set. But like for example, like Winter Brawl, like 33rd, which is not good by my standards.
What do you mean by 100% in it? Do you mean like focused?
Focus, like you're playing. You are in the game. Like you're focused on the game and focused on what you're doing. If for some reason, like, I want to use Super TSB as an example, because at Super TSB, I physically felt insane. Like, I felt like I was going to throw up the whole time, even though I wasn't. I was so nervous for that tournament. I haven't been that nervous for a tournament since probably, like an EVO Grand Final. Like, real talk, I was so nervous because it was the last chance to have the Summit eligibility. I was super, super nervous, really not playing, like, myself. As opposed to like there are times where like I mean, like this past Saturday I went to a tournament. It was like a monthly, it's like decent size, and like I was fine. I just played my game. I was very like focused, and it went fine. I mean, it went worded fine. I won the tournament. Like I just won the tournament. So that's the difference. Like I'm trying to become more consistent in Dragon Ball. I think that's the thing that I'm like. Also because I haven't traveled as much as I usually have in other games.
So you need to get into that state of mind, that kind of relaxed state of mind, even when the stakes are high.
Well, I guess any. I don't know. I don't know if other people feel this, but one of the things I like to do, or I would like to do, is to get my really bad play so good that I can like win anyway. In Dragon Ball, it feels like it's not possible. It feels like you have to play well. Like if you play bad in Dragon Ball, you're just gonna lose. Yeah.
Gotcha. Alrighty. Alright, let's talk about a little bit more about Dragon Ball the franchise. If you were to, this is more of a fun question, if you were to pick a team that was purely based on your love for the anime, which 3 characters would it be?
It would be Trunks, Android 18, and Android 21.
So like 2 good guys. Why Android 21?
She's cute.
Wait. Because she's like a waifu or something?
Of course, she's cute. She's cute. That's my lane. That's my character. I wanted to play her. I wanted to play her. She's cute.
Okay. Fair enough.
Trunks is my boy. I love Trunks. I love Trunks, but I did not love him enough to put Vegeta on my team, to be honest.
Fair enough. Yeah, Trunks is, he's crazy cool. And Android 16 is, I mean, I think those are all like very understandable why those are cool. All right, so are there any characters that you want to see come into the game in the future?
I don't care. It's weird. Like the character, they could add anyone. Mostly, like if I answer that question, I'd be like, I want to see like more waifus probably, or some like a
Bulma,
like Bulma, or like Launch, or
Bardock.
Oh, I would play Proudest. I would play Proudest. You don't understand. You have to. One of the most important things in fighting games is you have to either want to protect your character or hug your character. And I would protect Kid Buu. I would protect him, but it's not the same as wanting to hug. I mean, wait. I would hug my whole team, by the way, but it's not the same as hugging a waifu. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. That's fuel. That's fuel. Dropping your waifu is a huge deal. That's a big deal. That's a relationship you're giving up.
No, I totally get it. I mean, like waifus aside, waifus is an interesting conversation, but the emotional attachment to characters is so important. Like the drive to want to win, the drive to want to play, the fun factor. Like we're seeing it right now with Hook and God and Piccolo, right? He's like all over the place right now. He's like, yeah, but if I don't play Piccolo, maybe I could win. But every time and then you see him like I've seen this over the last day or so, like him try to play a team which doesn't have Piccolo in it, and he's like, I can't do this, you know. So that emotional side of it, that emotional attachment to characters is so important. I see it in Street Fighter. Street Fighter's a big one. Street Fighter's huge. It goes back 25 years. You got people who are attached to like, you know, various characters who won't even touch the game until their character arrives, which it sounds bonkers, but it's true, you know. And you know, like Sakura is one of them. Like that's one of very popular character in Japan, and sadly, I found out from Moke that a lot of his friends were very upset about the way she turned out as a character. But they literally had not touched the game
Until they added her.
Yeah, until they added her. So, like, yeah, there's a character you could hug. All right, so what do you think of Bardock and Broly?
Bardock's very strong. He's very strong. I kind of think it's kind of boring to play. But he's unquestionably strong. He has 2 level 1s that automatically means your minimum damage is higher. His lunge is core circle forward light. Into vanish is airtight, meaning he can force himself on you really well. He has really like simple setups. He has good mix-up. His level 3 knockdown is good. He does good damage. Like he's all around. Like his assist is good. Like he's all around good character. Broly feels strong. I haven't played against Broly enough. I played against him. He's not that popular. I definitely think he can oops you if you don't know what you're doing. He feels good. He doesn't feel amazing, but he feels good. He does feel good. Bardock is the standout out of those two, though.
Yeah, I've seen people using Bardock. I have not seen people using Broly, apart from like the odd Twitter video showing you some sort of weird, crazy combo. I've not seen. I don't know of anyone off the top of my head who's like, oh, this person plays Broly.
Rico Suave.
Oh, he does.
Yeah. That's his favorite character in Dragon Ball, he said.
Yeah, well, Dogura said the same thing, and he was like, I want to be the best Broly there ever is, but I don't know if he's playing Broly now.
I feel like I've seen him play Broly in tournament a couple of times, but I mean, he's got to make money,
Yeah, it's true. I mean, as far as lore goes, though, like when I interviewed him, he was like Broly is the best character ever in Dragon Ball. So, the new characters, Fused Zamasu. We know a little bit more about that character because there was some stuff written down. We know the 8-way flow. We got a little bit of a trailer, but we don't have a lot. What you've seen so far, do you think that character is interesting? Is it a character that you'd be interested in?
As far as the DLC, the only thing... So technically, I don't care because I can't play them, but I am also simultaneously very interested in them because they can actually change the game depending on what they choose to do with the characters. So I'm really keeping an eye out on those two while also not paying attention to the videos and trailers because I don't like speculating. I just want the game. I want the game.
Okay, so you don't have a thought about Vegito either?
Only that I hope those kicks are his assists because that'd be quite good. Yeah.
Yeah, with the... Yeah. That looks kind of cool. All right, cool. So I guess the other character, I guess the leak is true. I'm sure we're probably going to see base Goku, base Vegeta, Android 17 Tournament of Power, and Cooler. I don't know if any of those excite you at all.
If we're talking about just pure characters, probably 17 is the one. Because I actually thought the game was fine before. I actually thought it's like pretty good for their first try. Yeah. So my only hope for all the DLC is that their assists are strong enough that it encourages people to pick more characters.
Right, yeah, that totally makes sense. All right, let's talk about the Summit of Power a little bit. How do you think about Summit of Power? So, assuming that you get in, right? How do you think about that sort of, this is most tournaments that you go to and there's like 1,000 people are entering, right? This tournament you go into, you know who you're going to be up against. So how would you think about prepping for that tournament?
Well, outside of course just like trying to play and prepare and stuff, because I've played in a couple, not like Summit obviously, but like I've played in a couple of like small like invitational kind of things. You definitely want to think about who are your personal threats, like who you don't want to play, but you don't want to think I don't want to play him, but just like if your natural reaction to hearing X person's name versus you is, then you want to like watch them, you want to like prepare for them somehow, but then at the same time, personally, I find it hard to watch people's matches trying to be like, this is what I'm going to do against them, because there's no assumption that they are actually going to do that to you technically, even though they're probably going to. So you're kind of going in, the best thing from my perspective is, especially if we talk about Summit of Power, first, what games that people come from is a big point. Oh, yeah. So for example, I'm sorry, Leffen, I'm going to use it as an example. You're a really good example. Leffen he is very talented. I respect him a lot as a player. The fact that he could play Smash and Melee, like similar backgrounds, besides he's one of the best Melee players, right? But he doesn't have a big history of playing against fuzzy defense. So him against the Japanese players is going to be quite difficult for him because he's not used to that. He's not used to that meta, that defensive meta kind of thing. And a quick example of that would be like, I don't know, he tries to Dragon Rush somebody, they fuzzy jump out. Then he tries to stagger them, they mash immediately. So he's like, why is this guy seem to be right like 90% of the time? Because he doesn't understand the defensive techniques. So someone like that would have, someone like that, I know that I can get away with stuff and that I could do stuff that they won't understand how to deal with because they don't have like the history. as opposed to like if I run into let's say like Super Noon gets in, right? He's a Marvel player. I know that Marvel players tend to be a little bit more chaotic. They tend to be more aggressive. Like I'll have that in my head. That kind of stuff will be pretty important going to the actual place.
One of the questions that I wanted to ask you was about, let me see how I'm going to phrase this. Mind games, right? Summit of Power, if you get in there, like, I imagine there'll be a lot of mind games. Do you think about mind games much? Do you think about psyching out your opponents? Or do you think about how to make sure that you don't get sucked into being psyched out by your opponents?
No.
No? You don't think about any of that stuff ever? Do you ever feel like people are trying to psych you out? Like, have you ever had examples in the past where you're like, this guy's trying to psych me out?
I'm sure. There have been times like people talk shit about me before I showed up or something. I guess that's supposed to be like a psych out, but like especially because of the way I play fighting games too, I just ignore that. It's not like a part of my thing because it has nothing to do with my plan.
What matters is our plan.
Or like how I'm gonna play technically,
Okay.
right? So why should I care if someone is, I don't know, saying they're going to do something, or like I'm gonna pick my secret character? Ooh, like I don't care. Like that doesn't matter.
So like,
pick it.
So like, I'll give you a good example, right, of like something that I thought was a mind game. Some people will say, no, it wasn't a mind game. I don't really care. But before Kimono Michi, Daigo said, I can't possibly lose in a first to 10, right? And like if I was, the opposing player, it's Takedo, so at the end of the day, Takedo can probably deal with that shit. But like if I was the opposing player, I'd be like, Jesus Christ. Does any of that shit none of that ever gets to you?
So I mean, if someone says something like that to me, of course I'd be like, are you serious, dude? But it's not like, I mean, once you sit down, you sit down. When you sit down, you don't think that, I'm not trying to think that this person said there's no way I could possibly lose. Like, you have to pay attention to the game. You have to pay attention to the game.
So you're just gonna go with your plan and trust your plan, and like you don't really care what's been said before that happens. Like you're just gonna run with it.
Yeah. Once I sit down, like the thought about anything that's been said, especially because if I think about myself, and like so much shit has been talked about me as a player since I've been playing fighting games, that at this point, like I just expect everyone to think there was like a tweet I saw today where someone said, I didn't even know you played this game, even though I play mad hard, I stream a lot, like I haven't left the region really, which is probably the only thing I haven't done, but like I've been doing stuff. But at this point, like there's been so much of that kind of stuff that I'm just like, trolling, shit talk, just miscellaneous hate coming from space. Like it's just like you feel some type of way for a couple of minutes and you just move on.
What about during the match? Do you hear the crowd? Like you told me, you were saying earlier that you've played in places where everyone's against you in the past. Like, are you able to just block it all out and just focus?
That's really hard. That's really hard. Headsets help a lot, a lot. And then also just mental discipline, like not getting like I think I said it before, like not getting super upset internally at the random guy in the crowd who got hype at my drop or something. Just staying in the game. Just like the big thing is just staying in the game.
All right, so it's difficult, but just stay in the game. Okay, so on a lighter note, let's talk about fighting games in general. So you are currently playing Dragon Ball. Is that your number one game? Are there other games that you're playing competitively at the moment?
I'm sort of playing Guilty Gear. I think it's important for me to play Guilty Gear. I play probably like 90% Dragon Ball, 10% Guilty Gear. Or like 95% Dragon Ball, 5% Guilty Gear. There was a patch in Guilty Gear like a couple months ago. Yeah. It changed things, but it's not drastic, so I'm able to play like very leisurely, just like casual training mode. Like the people who play fighting games immediately in my area actually don't like Dragon Ball. They all play Guilty Gear, so I'm able to just play with them like once a week. It's kind of nice. If a Guilty Gear tournament isn't going to roll over a Dragon Ball tournament, I'll enter I've been entering like Guilty Gear locals and stuff. I haven't played at majors or anything since the patch dropped because I've been focusing on Dragon Ball. But like the tournament I was talking about last week, the monthly I went to, I played Dragon Ball and Guilty Gear. I think it's important for me to play Guilty Gear because there are core skills in that game that are not expressed so well in Dragon Ball, and I would like to keep them very sharp still. I think it's important to keep them sharp. Stuff like traditional whiff punishing, point game, like a guessing game like Okazami situation, like that kind of stuff. Dragon Ball has some of these. Dragon Ball has no point game, and or very, very little point game, I should say. And there's not so much traditional Street Fighter-esque whip punishing. When I say whip punishing, like really like true footsie whip punishing, you need that in Guilty Gear. But in Dragon Ball, it's not the biggest thing in the world. So I want to keep those really, really sharp. Anti-air too. I want to keep my anti-air is pretty good too, because it's kind of hard to anti-air in Dragon Ball. Yeah. But in Guilty Gear, it's like you must be able to, or you don't exist. So I want to keep those skills at like a good level.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Stay sharp. General video games. Do you have time for games outside of fighting games? And if so, which games do you play?
So once I discovered competitive games, I generally play those the most. They're also really interesting and engaging, so that helps. But I play other stuff. Fire Emblem is my favorite series of all time. And my favorite video game is a Fire Emblem game. I think I said that before, though. I like JRPGs. Persona is my favorite series. Once in a while, I play like a Tales game or whatever. I play like Zelda games. I play like all the mainline Zelda games. The only one I haven't played yet is Breath of the Wild. I know someone is mad that I haven't played that game, but I am meaning to play it. I generally play all Marios. I like Bayonetta. I like that stuff too. Last year I played a ton of one-player games. Actually, it's actually kind of uncommon. If you asked me like 2 years ago, I'd be like, yeah, I'm not playing anything. But like last year, I played Nier. I played Persona. A Fire Emblem game came out that was I played it like 6 months late. I got it day one, but I played the game it was based off of. So it's like a remake, essentially. The original one is really bad, but the new one is really good. Like I was actually really happy. But because I already played the old one, I waited like 6 months to play the remake. And once I started, I was like, oh man, this game's godlike. But generally, I'm not really playing. I'm pretty much like playing like the fighting game. Occasionally, I put on other stuff. Once every couple months, I put on Dead or Alive Volleyball.
You put on what?
Dead or Alive Volleyball to practice for Evo. Hey, no, wait, to practice in the casino because I don't know the rules of gambling.
I've never even played the game.
That's the meme. There's a casino in the game, and like there was a stream like I did a birthday stream where all I did was stream. So anytime like I had to do any of like the swimsuit stuff, I would move the camera so it would only show the floor. So I said, oh, this game's rated T for teen. Like you have to buy this content. And I would go to the casino and just get wrecked. And I don't gamble, so like. People will watch me gamble and they get so mad because I'm bad at it. I'm super bad at it. And the stream is delayed, so they're telling you what to do like late. So it's really fun. It's really fun.
Okay. I've checked that game out. Yeah. For science. All right. So give us a little window into your life outside of fighting games and video games. What other stuff are you interested in? Hobbies or activities?
Well, like I've been trying to keep up with fitness the past couple of years. If you saw like 2015 LK, I was starting to get a little fluffy.
Oh yeah.
Actually, this is a funny story. Like, I went to Arc Revo. If it was P4U2, so it's 2015. I went to Arc Revo, and should I name drop? Yeah, screw it. It's okay. So Solji, I don't know if you heard of Solji, but he was basically like, he's like, okay. Aren't you starting to get a little chubby? And I was like, yo, like a Japanese player told me I'm getting fat. That means something. Because normally they'd be like, oh, like you've been eating well or something. But he's like, yo, you get a little chubby there, man. I'm like, yo. So I started like taking working out like really seriously. I do like stand up for fun. I've been doing that for like almost 2 years.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, somebody sent me a text. Sometimes before I interview people, I send out text to a couple of people, and I'm like, "Hey, I'm going to interview this person, like Lord Knight. What should I ask?" And somebody wrote back something about stand-up. So tell me about that.
That's what I wanted to do before I found out what competitive video games were.
Okay.
Pretty much. The thing is, once I found out about video game tournaments, I forgot about stand. I was just like, oh my god, like this is my calling, kind of thing. But in one of my harder periods a couple of years ago, there's just like work stuff, like overwhelming amount of work and blah blah I decided to quit that job and also try doing stand-up because it was something I wanted to do as a kid. And I ended up I paid like $300 for like a class, and then like I ended up liking it, so I just went and did it. I've done like a couple of small shows and stuff. It's really fun. It's fun. It's kind of like fighting games in a weird way, and kind of not. It's kind of interesting. Like I still kind of keep up with music a little bit. When I was a kid, I played saxophone, but my parents never bought me one. My parents never actually wanted me to get super good at anything. Pretty much, they just wanted me to, do the like they're Haitian, so they want me to just go to school, get a job, blah blah. So anytime I started to get really good at something, they'd like pump the brakes. But the thing about saxophone is, since they didn't buy me one, I can only play like 8 months out of the year or something. So there's 4 months where I'm not playing, so they're kind of cool with it. But when I wasn't playing, I used to I had like my fourth, like the recorders you play. Yeah. So like it's the same fingering as a saxophone. Okay. So like I taught myself how to play recorder for fun. What else do I do? I guess like now like I've been like streaming a lot too recently. I mean that's kind of game related though. But my stream is not like a lot of the other players who stream, like they just stream themselves playing ranked and stuff. Mine's just really like a lot of like lab work, and like I'm reviewing matches and like trying to like it's like get actively involved in like what is it like to go from like, cause basically if you have been watching since Dragon Ball came out, you have literally seen me go from like literally terrible to like someone who can take events or like do well at events. Like you've seen it, and like everything's super transparent. Like someone told me at a tournament, and it really stuck out to me, that it's someone who watched my stream. So they were like, one of the best parts about that, like how I stream as opposed to like just people grinding out matches, is that like we'll figure out a situation, like how to deal with Vanish or something. Like we'll figure out a situation. I'll like walk through my thoughts and like try out a bunch of stuff, and then like, okay, this is what I'm gonna do. And then they'll go watch me at a tournament, and I do it, and it works. And like, wow, that like he's not like talking out his ass. Like he's like, this is what I'm gonna do about this, and he does it, and it works. And so they're like, it like helps people because one, they see what to do, and then they see that's actually being applied. It's not like someone saying something and not doing it.
Right. That goes back to the training schedule question or training routine question. Yeah. So you're actually showing people on stream, this is how I train, and now these are the results of my training. That's why I do what I do. I
stream like about like what you would see on stream is maybe like 35% or so of what I do.
Okay.
To like practice. Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. And people watch that? Like people are like very interested in that?
Yeah, the people who stay around, I'm glad I did this because the people who do stay around for that, it's incredibly relaxed. Everyone's chill. Yeah. No one's going like if there's like someone who's being like ridiculous, everyone's like, yo, what are you doing? Like we're all like trying to hang out. Once in a while I'll stream like 2 a.m. I call it like late night, so I'll stream like 2 a.m. just like for kicks. It's just super low key. Like I like that. And I also like not being it's also nice because it keeps me from getting burnt out, like playing too much, because that's kind of bad too. So it's like a nice thing. It's a nice thing, yeah. So that's part of the stuff I do too.
Do you ever talk about your competitive video games in your stand-up?
No. No. I don't think I'm good enough yet. It's how do I say this? One of the things, this is like kind of what I've been thinking about stand-up recently, is like I kind of want to try to pick a difficult topic to talk about. Video games would be one of them, actually. Competitive, it would be one of them.
For a lot of people, it'd be hard for them to
yeah.
associate themselves with it, I guess.
But I guess at the start, there's so much like, you legitimately have to like learn your fundamentals, and like you have to go out, you have to literally go and do it. You can't do it in your house, and you can't do it with your friends. Like you have to go to a place and sit there and do that. Like go and do stand up. So I had to like get all that stuff out of the way, get like my core, like my first like really good 10 minutes or so. Yeah. So like I haven't tried. When I first started, I wrote a joke about competitive games, but I have long since thrown that in the trash. It's awful. It's actually really bad. So I don't later when I get better.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
All right. Well, what I usually ask at the end is there any kind of topic or discussion point that you wished that perhaps we covered or you want to cover? or anything you want to say.
Is there a topic? If I wanted to say something right now, it would of course be, please vote for me for Summit of Power. Please, 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 please. I'm trying to get in the tournament. That's obviously I'm not going to for like just to like be there though. Like I'm trying to like win. Like I think I could actually do really well at that tournament. My history shows it too, hopefully, and we're trying to get better at Dragon Ball. I guess those are the main things I want to say. I don't know about topics though. I feel like there's some stuff.
I'm sure there is. And we can come back and do this again sometime. So where can people follow you?
Probably two main things would be Twitter. It's at LordKnightBB, and Twitch is twitch.tv/LordKnight. I stream almost every day. Right now, I'm literally streaming every day because of Summit, but I stream like usually like 4 times a week or so, Monday through Thursday. Twitter, I'm always like around. I post tech. I mess around. It's fun.
All right, awesome. Cool. Well, we might have a world record in terms of length of interview, somewhere between you and Lord Soul and Nakiel, I'm sure. But we'll see when I finally get around to editing it. Cool. But it's been a real pleasure. Thank you for your time, and good luck in your pursuit of Tournament of Power, and then future endeavors, as it were. Until next time, we're gonna say goodbye to these guys. Bye, guys.